All right, guys. So this week we are talking about rhetoric. So, first of all, what is rhetoric? Rhetoric refers to the study and uses of written, spoken, and visual language. It investigates how language is used to organize and maintain social groups, construct meanings and identities, coordinate behavior, mediate power, produce change, and create knowledge. So basically, a person or group has a purpose, and it is how they use the language to achieve that purpose. Rhetoric is the ancient art and science of persuasion. It's the study of persuasion and the individual process of persuasion. Unfortunately, in the 21st century, rhetoric tends to be positioned as something separate from everyday communication. However, all human activities are rhetorical, whether or not we are conscious of it. Rhetoric is about strategic choices and approaches to communication, including textually, verbally, orally, and visually. When we communicate to different types of audiences about the same topic, we make strategic decisions on what details to include or omit, what types of evidence or support to use, and so on. Examples of rhetoric. Imagine that you spent a little bit of time last weekend studying, but mostly party hopping and celebrating because your school's football team won the championship. Number one, when you speak to your best friend about your weekend, you're likely to provide details about how many parties you went to and what exactly you did at the parties, including gossiping about mutual friends. Number two, when you speak to your grandmother about that same weekend, you might mention your study group meeting on Sunday afternoon, the takeout dinner you had on Friday night, and perhaps briefly mention that you celebrated the team's win with friends. Number three, when you speak to your supervisor at your on-campus job, you are likely to discuss the big football win, your looming exam schedule, and how your study and exam schedule will impact your availability to work for the rest of the term. All versions are accurate representations of your weekend, but you make strategic choices about which details to include or not include based on the particular rhetorical situation of your discussion. The rhetorical situation refers to any set of circumstances that involves at least one person using some sort of communication to modify the perspective of at least one other person. That is, how and what you communicate is shaped by the writer, author, creator, also known as the rhetor. The audience, including primary, secondary, and tertiary audiences. The topic of the communication. The purpose, which often can be broken into a primary, secondary, and tertiary purpose. The context and culture within which the communication is taking place. The context and culture impact the rest of the rhetorical situation, the rhetor, the audience, the topic, and the purpose. Rhetoric began about 2,500 years ago as the study of the forms of communication argument were essential to public, political, and legal life in ancient Greece. It has since evolved into a rich and diverse body of research texts and pedagogies.